Hello and welcome to another edition of your favorite parliamentary news magazine program, The Chamber, right here on City TV. My name is Duke Mensopoku. As the year gets to a close, Parliament is getting ready to rise for its Christmas break. It's the end of another parliamentary week, the end of another parliamentary meeting, and of course, getting close to the end of another parliamentary session, which is a parliamentary year. We'll take a break here. When I come back, we'll begin the program with a wrap of the major stories in Parliament. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. So this week in Parliament, while leaders of the House used all means and channels to try to resolve the issues emanating from the budget impasse or the budget 2022 budget statement stalemate, other business of the House, of course, ran smoothly amid some challenges. So the committees sat to consider the estimates of various ministries, departments and agencies, and by close of week, the plenary had started considering and even approving some of the estimates for some of these ministries. For more on what has been happening this week, here's the recap. The House on Wednesday commenced the approval processes for the budget estimates of ministries at the plenary. The ministries of Transport, Railways Development and Roads and Highways had their estimates approved. During the debate on the estimates of the Roads and Highways Ministry, a ranking member of the Roads and Transport Committee, Gavin Kwame Abuja, took issue with the losses incurred as a result of the directive for the immediate closure of toll booths in the country.
The ministry is struggling to pay salaries, yet when we approved for them to collect 78 million Ghana cedi, they decided to throw away 10 million Ghana cedi. Mr. Speaker, I can only support the estimate of this ministry if we get to appropriation, if we deduct 10 million Ghana cedis out of the appropriation, Mr. Speaker. I will not be able to support unless we take 10 million Ghana cedis, which is money that they deliberately lost out of the road fund, out of the appropriation.
Earlier, the sector minister Kwesiamu Akwata outlined the ministry's priorities for the year 2022.
This year, the sector plans to complete, among other road activities, 25,000 kilometers, 16,000 kilometers and 3,500 kilometers of trunk, feeder and urban roads respectively in the area of routine maintenance activities.
The Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Kyerematen, briefed Parliament on the state of the projects under the One District, One Factory policy and the number of jobs created so far from the initiative.
Mr. Speaker, it is expected that when the additional 148 projects currently under construction are completed, the cumulative number of direct and indirect jobs created will increase to 288,599.
Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaji, and his team appeared before the Public Accounts Committee on matters relating to the operation of medical stores in the country. He also spoke to the media after the session on the renewed vaccination program for COVID-19 and concerns about vaccine hesitancy.
In every situation where we are in a situation where people are at risk, certain decisions are taken. And that's why if you look at the Public Health Act, where a whole place can be zoned off and many things taken, because it's not just for the individual, but also to protect the society. And so as long as your freedom somehow interferes with the existence of the public, certain exigencies, and you know that's not only Ghana that is coming up with mandates. There are many countries, bigger democracies, where they are coming up with mandates that definitely, as it were, take away people's rights. We've gone through a lockdown, and a lockdown is stay home, don't go out. But that is also another area. But that's all for the public good.
Deputy Minister for Finance, Abna Osei-Asare, led officials from the Ghana Revenue Authority, GNPC and other agencies to the Public Accounts Committee to answer questions relating to the 2020 Auditor General's report. The session, however, seemingly turned confrontational over the implementation of the controversial E-levy. The chairman of the committee, James Klucha-Aveji, engaged in verbal exchanges with the Deputy Minister.
Yes, sir. If I transfer 120 Ghana cedis, the 1.75%, which amount will you charge it?
We'll charge it on the 20 Ghana cedis, Mr. Chairman.
That is what I want to know.
Thank you.
So if I transfer, take note of that answer. If I transfer 120, I'll be charged on only the 20 cedis.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Ghanaians are listening and they're watching.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
If I transfer 1,000 Ghana cedis,
yes,
how much will I be charged on?
Mr. Chairman, 900 Ghana cedis, because the first 100 Ghana cedis and below is tax exempt.
If I transfer another 1,000 Ghana cedis to another person, how much will I be charged on? No, we need the thing to be made clear to Daniel.
Mr. Chairman,
I transfer another 1,000 Ghana the same day. How much will I be charged?
You do 1,000 Ghana.
First
one.
I'm charged
and you
on
are
900.
Charged on the 900.
I do another 1,000.
You do another 1,000 Ghana cedis. You'll be charged on the 1,000 Ghana cedis.
But I'm doing that one to another person.
Yes, you'll be charged 1,000 Ghana cedis.
So the first,
yes.
Oh, honorable members, the first 1,000 Ghana that I transferred, I'm charged on 900. If the person I transfer the money to decide to transfer that 1,000 he received, he decided to transfer 900 to another person, how much will you charge that person?
If the person who received the 1,000 decides to
transfer 900 to another person,
if in a day the person hasn't done any transaction, the person will be charged on 800 Ghana cedis.
800.
Yeah.
Then the third person received 900. He also decided to transfer 800 to another person. He'll be charged on 700.
Mr. Chairman.
So that my 1,000, you are charging all this money on it. Just in one day.
Mr. Chairman, what we are saying is this. If you transact, you do transactions electronically, that is when you are charged the 1.75.
The Deputy Minister for Finance later briefed the media on the progress of consultations among stakeholders on the levy that had been the subject of dispute.
We will bring the bill in, and hopefully, all things being equal, it will be laid in Parliament, and then all of us will see the terms, everything stated clearly in the electronic transaction levy.
Our consultations done because the minister, including yourself.
The minister mentioned that, yes, you can never finish consultations. So I cannot stand here and say that consultations are done. We have made very good progress in the consultation process, and I believe that that will reflect in the bill that we present to the House. In the business statement, it was quoted that Parliament will rise on Friday. Right. So whatever it takes for us to bring the bill to Parliament before Parliament rises, for it to be brought to Parliament, the Finance Committee looks at it, and for it to come back to the floor of Parliament, we will have to do it. We will continue to build that consensus that we are all looking for, because at the end of the day, we have no other country than Ghana, whether minority or majority. It is this country that we live in. It is this country that we have to work together to develop and make it work.
On the floor of the House, Minister for Finance Dominic Nitiwo confirmed to Parliament that there were ongoing consultations and processes for the purchase of a new executive jet for the country.
Current president, if we were to purchase this jet, will not use it. That's the first thing I want you to know. Secondly, I also want you to know that I said consultations are ongoing, including consultations with members of Parliament. When those consultations are completed, I will come back to this House to let you know whether those consultations have arrived as a positive answer or a negative answer. Don't conclude for me. I am the one who is taking those decisions in consultation with government. If you are reading somebody else's statement who didn't make it in this House, that is your own headache. But as far as I am concerned, I, the Minister for Defense, I am saying the consultations are ongoing. And when those consultations are positive, I will come to this House with the agreements. If they are not positive, I will not come. It's as simple as that.
The committees of the House are in the process of considering the 2022 budget estimates. The Communications Committee, however, suspended hearings on Tuesday in protest of the Ministry of Communications' decision not to present annual reports for the National Communications Authority for a number of years.
The Speaker's Committee is poised to carry out our oversight responsibility without fear or favor, and that we would insist that the right things according to the law are done. And so if the minister is able to provide this committee and furnish us with at least the first three reports, we will resume consideration of her estimates. Until such a time, we cannot continue to approve estimates for a ministry and its agencies when for 6 years running they have failed to account to the people of Ghana, whose taxes we have been approving. We cannot continue approving in abeyance. If this was your business or your own company, you would demand some accountability. And we do this without any malice, but mindful of our responsibilities to the people of Ghana.
At the Special Budget Committee, officials of the Electoral Commission were denied audience following the absence of the chairperson of the commission at the hearings. Here is a member of the committee and Deputy Minority Chief Whip Ahmed Ibrahim.
Until she herself comes, we are not going to listen to the deputy. Even though we knew they are competent, Dr. Bosman, Freeman, listen, the person, Bosman, Dudu and co, they had the capacity to be able to explain matters. But there are some policy issues that you need to hear from the chairperson herself. People are lambasting Parliament about the non-concern that Parliament is showing about the people in Oti region. That's Apafo, Lolobi, and Lipe, who have no representation in Parliament, even though government has gone ahead to give them a district. So there's a district in Ghana here without a constituency. And Parliament, which is the highest representation body in the country, is not saying, it has been silent on it. So we wish when she herself appear, her plans towards giving the people of SAR a representation, she will say it.
So it's probably the most anticipated determination of an issue by a Speaker of Parliament in our recent parliamentary, political, and the dispensation under which the country's democracy currently flourishes, the 1992 Constitution. Over the period, there's been a stalemate over the 2022 budget statement, whether it was rejected, whether that rejection was overturned, and what was the minority trying to do exactly with the motion of recession that was trying to push through, which was rejected by the first Deputy Speaker. So after his absence from the jurisdiction for a number of days, in fact, weeks, the Right Honourable Speaker, Alban Bagbin, took his seat after returning from his medical leave in this parliamentary week and delivered a 10-page ruling, very comprehensive in all respects, or a determination of the issues that had actually transpired while he was around, and most especially in his absence. He began with an apology and then went to establish legal, constitutional rule and even precedent on why he thinks that the actions that were taken in his absence was actually wrong, and called out to the first Deputy Speaker, albeit jovially, for act of misconduct or even insubordination. So this week on the From the Floor segment, we're bringing you the choicest parts of that seminal ruling or determination made by Speaker Alban Bagbin, and which has culminated in proposals that would help or is aimed long-term at resolving the 2022 budget estimate impasse, or the 2022 budget stalemate, which is lingered on. Is the Finance Minister going to bring an amended or revised statement capturing the modifications and concessions that have been made? What about the E-levy? All that and more is captured in the statement, formal statement that was made by Speaker Bagbin on his return to the jurisdiction from his medical leave. This is the From the Floor segment.
On the 20th of November 2019, the Right Honourable Speaker, Professor Okwe, suspended sitting after Honourable Mahama Yaga indicated that the House did not have the numbers to continue the debate on the 2020 budget. Again, in this instance, the issue of quorum was raised by a member during the proceedings. I just cited them for you to know that it is members who usually raise the issue of quorum. The Speaker cannot on his own sit here and know unless it's obviously clear to the Speaker. Honourable members, what the presidents tell us, and they abound in so many days in our Hansard, is that the issue of lack of quorum is usually raised by a member of the House or the Speaker himself, as I stated earlier on, with regard to a clear paucity of numbers in the House, may ask for an adjournment. Usually, at the beginning, is for an adjournment. But during the course of the proceedings, the Speaker can suspend the sitting due to the absence of a quorum. Honourable members, staging a walkout is a legitimate form of protest and is part of our parliamentary norms and practices. Indeed, there have been several walkouts since 1997, and each side of the aisle has used it as a legitimate tool to register their displeasure with one issue or the other. As the leader of the minority, I employed it on several occasions between 2001 and 2008. What is important for us to note is that the staging of a walkout, however, does not render Parliament incapable of performing its functions. I can refer to so many instances where walkouts and boycotts have never succeeded in delaying or preventing the continuance of business of the House. But let me cite just three. On August 22, 2003, the minority staged a boycott of the House in protest against the National Health Insurance Authority, which was under consideration, and the minority was against one provision. I led that walkout. Business of the House continued despite boycott. The total number of majority members used to justify a quorum was what was recorded on the votes and proceedings of the day, and not the number that was on the floor. On the 23rd February 2005, the minority, again led by my good self, staged a walkout of the House because of the consideration of the Customs and Excise Petroleum Taxes Bill. Despite the walkout, proceedings continued, and the quorum relied upon again was on what was recorded on the votes and proceedings as present, including the names usually of the minority members who had walked out. In 2014, that was 19th November, the minority staged another walkout, and this time led by my good friend, the current majority leader of the chamber, on the introduction of a 17.5% special petroleum tax levy. Again, despite the walkout, proceedings continued. The votes and proceedings recorded the members that were present, and that was what was used to justify the decisions of the day. So it suffices to say that the failure to register an objection for a lack of quorum does not mean decision taken on that day are invalid, are wrong, or not legitimate. The actions of the House therefore stands to me on Tuesday, 30th November 2021, bringing into sharp focus. I want to take this because we will need to put the views in the official report of Parliament. There will be people who will be doing research in the future. It's not just a matter of in-camera discussions. What happened earlier on has been captured, and this response must also be captured. The actions of the House on Tuesday, 30th November 2021 bring into sharp focus the powers of a Deputy Speaker vis-à-vis that of the Speaker. On that day, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament presiding found that the vote taken on the 26th of November rejecting the budget was null and void, and the requisite number was not present in accordance with Article 104 of the Constitution. The decision taken on the 30th of November 2021, which decision stated I acted ultra vires the Constitution. When I put the question on the 2022 budget statement economic policy of government, appears strange to me. The House was duly constituted for its work for the purposes of business and voting in accordance with Articles 102 and 104 respectively, and the public record of the votes and proceedings of the House on the 26th of November lends credence to this position. It is persuasive to note what Eskime, an authority in parliamentary practice, says on this matter, and I quote, "The Speaker's rulings constitute precedents by which subsequent speakers, members, and officers are guided. Such precedents are noted and in the course of time may be formulated as principles or rules of practice. They are an important source of determining how the House conducts its business," unquote. Honorable members, as to whether a vice president can preside over a cabinet which had earlier on taken a decision on a subject matter presided over by the president, and without consulting the president, get the cabinet to rescind the decision earlier taken, is for your kind debate as you started. But who am I to say my deputy, the first deputy speaker, the honorable member for Bekwai constituency, Honorable Joseph Osei-Usu, the wise, well, he didn't join our group, the three wise men, he didn't join us. So he's still Joe Wise, not wise man. Who am I to say that he might have indulged in an act of misconduct? Tantamount to insubordination. Honorable members, we are however faced with a serious challenge because of the attempt of the country to marry the two different systems, the Westminster model and the presidential system. We did not only do that, we also added our traditions, our cultures, our beliefs, our values, and the norms of the tribes in Ghana forming the nation Ghana. As a result of that, the clarity as to the rules dealing with quorums and decisions of the House are blurred. When you go through the presidential system, the laws clearly state the rules support one way or the other. If you go through the Westminster system, it's the other way around. And you know, mostly in the Westminster system, the Speaker is a member of Parliament. It's not the same in all other parliaments. So that is why I said the debate is left to you. I am not, by what I've said, blaming the First Deputy Speaker for taking that position. That's why I said, if you do the comparison with leadership, what it will reflect in the minds and perception of people is that is undermining the authority of the Speaker, not me, of the Speaker. Honorable members, we ought to be mindful of the precedents that exist in this House to guide our conduct. This will ultimately prevent an interpretation of our rules that provides us with problems. As to the issue of a deputy speaker being counted for the purposes of quorum, and you recall what happened that day, without a doubt, our standing orders and the 1992 Constitution clearly outlines a bar on the one presiding in Parliament in respect of participating in debates or voting on any matter. Article 102 of the Constitution is to the effect that the person presiding, be it the Speaker, a Deputy Speaker, or a member presiding, does not form part of the quorate number. Honorable members, whether or not the principle applies in pari materia with Article 104 is immaterial, because a different issue and law arises which respectfully the Honorable First Deputy Speaker may not have averted his mind to. A distinction must be drawn between the temporary absence of the Speaker from the chamber, in which case any of the Deputy Speakers may preside, and when the Speaker is unavoidably absent, as provided for under Order 13.2. In fact, Order 13.2 creates two different types of instances under which the Deputy Speaker may preside in accordance with Article 101 of the Constitution. under Article 13.1, under Order 13.1, any of the deputy speakers may be asked to take the chair when our Mr. Speaker so requests due to his temporary absence from the chair. The deputy speaker presides until such a time that Mr. Speaker is able to resume the chair to preside over the proceedings. It might be noted that under this ambit, the deputy speaker may be counted as forming part of the quorum number required for either business or voting, because at the beginning of the sitting, he was not exercising the powers of the speaker. He is a member of parliament. Honorable members, Order 13.1 is what I just referred to. At that time, the Honorable Deputy Speaker is just not called upon to preside due to the unavoidable absence of the Speaker. So that time, like I'm presiding, I decide for some good reason to leave the chair, and I call on the first or second Deputy Speaker to preside. That one is optional. I can call the first, I can call the second. But when you go to 13.2, it's a different scenario. And I read it. Whenever the House is informed by the clerk at the table of the unavoidable absence of Mr. Speaker, the first Deputy Speaker shall perform the duties and exercise the authority of Mr. Speaker in relation to all proceedings of the House until Mr. Speaker resumes the chair without any further communication to the House. Under this order, honorable members, listen. Honorable member, I don't want to name you. Under this order, the Speaker's unavoidable absence from the presence of Parliament means the first Deputy Speaker assumes the authority of the Speaker and performs all the duties of the Speaker in relation to the chamber. In this role, the first Deputy Speaker takes on the cloak of an acting Speaker, and for the purposes of our rules and the Constitution, assumes all the powers of the Speaker in relation to the business of the House. In this sense, therefore, the first Deputy Speaker for the period of my unavoidable absence from Parliament was the acting Speaker of Parliament, and thus all rules and limitations apply to him in a manner that applies to the substantive Speaker of Parliament. By and large, the reasoning of the first Deputy Speaker outlining the fact that he is not the Speaker. He holds his membership and does not lose his privileges as a member when he takes the chair can be said to be correct. However, insofar as he takes on the role as the acting Speaker of Parliament, his decision to be counted as part of the numbers forming a quorum raises procedural challenges. Honourable members, although our standing orders are silent on this, many standing orders and rules from several sister parliaments provide persuasive rules which suggest that when deputy speakers or acting speakers or members are in the chair, whatever happens in the House is that officer's responsibility, and the Speaker cannot be called upon to overrule it. So if that forms the responsibility of the Deputy Speaker or Acting Speaker, and the substantive Speaker cannot overrule it, then how come the Deputy Speaker can lead the House to rescind or change a decision that was taken in the presence of the Speaker? What I am simply drawing your attention to is that, similarly, the reverse is also the case when a Speaker is in the chair. Whatever happens in the House is the Speaker's responsibility, and the Deputy Speaker or Acting Speaker cannot be called upon to overrule it. However, honourable members, we are where we are today because we need to make progress on this matter in a manner that is consistent with our laws and ensures we are allowing the governance of our country to thrive. And so this is for the record, and is for the House and future parliaments to deliberate on, to guide the country to be able to come clear on these issues to prevent the ambiguities. Now, I'll move on to a very important area before I go to propose the way forward. A letter presented by the Minister of Finance on concessions and modifications to the 2022 budget statement. Honourable members, I'm aware of a letter of that nature originating from the Minister, which letter purports to make some concessions and modifications to the 2022 budget statement and economic policy of government. The legal basis of the laying of such a letter and what actions Parliament may take as a result leaves a lot to be desired. I have held discussions with the Minister himself, with the leadership of the House, to try to find a path that is faithful to law, respect our rules and processes, and ensures the governance of the country does not grind to a halt. In that vein, I made a few proposals to both the minister and the leadership. I must say, I can only tell the proposals, but at the end of the day, there are still disagreements. My first proposal is for the minister responsible for finance to come before the House with whether it's modified, revised, amended, or reenacted statement of the budget, with those modifications, concessions, amendments specifically captured in the document and known and accepted by the House. Those modifications, amendments, and concessions will then be adopted by the House, and the revised documents with the estimates will stand committed to the various committees of Parliament. I'm aware the committees have begun consideration of the estimates. My proposal is for that to be adopted, but for the committees to reconcile the revised estimates with what they have hitherto considered and submit a report for the consideration of the House. The letter, for example, conveys the intention of government to allocate 10 million Ghana cedis for the engineering studies for the commencement of the Blekusu Sea Defense Project. That 10 million will definitely be taken from another item that has been captured in what was presented, rejected, or reinstalled, or reinstated, or approved. Again, I'm aware that other areas, including the acceptance to capture properly the resolution of Parliament with regard to the Aker Energy proposal. But that is an indication of intent. That is what is conveyed in the letter. That is different from what will be captured in the document called revised or modified or amended budget. Honorable members, as I had stated earlier on, no consensus on this matter. The last one is the issue of the E-levy. As of today, there is no consensus. But I'm told that before us is an order paper addendum where there is an item under presentation and first reading of bills through 2B, an item electronic transfer levy bill 2021. I've been persuaded that it is during the consideration of that bill that members will take decisions as to whether to approve the policy or principles of the bill and add to the details whether it's 1.75%, 1%, or 0.5%, or zero. This meant that the House is deciding to go beyond and engage civil society, and the stakeholders in the industry as to the right decision in this matter. Definitely, the letter of the minister also acknowledges and captures this, because the minister stated clearly that they are in consultation with the minority caucus and other stakeholders in the industry. So exactly what I said, the House is accepting to proceed along that line. The Speaker doesn't participate in debates. It's my duty to guide you. You debate and take the decisions. And so I will definitely, honorable member, we are in a very decent institution. I want to conclude on this note. If I wanted to be Chief Justice, I would have joined the judiciary. Honorable members, to conclude on these matters, let me reiterate my solemn pledge to the people of Ghana, which I canvassed in my first formal communication to this House. I will not, and I mean what I say, I will not superintend over a parliament to frustrate or obstruct government business. But I will equally not preside over a weak house or be tagged as an errand boy of the executive arm of government. This House is fully focused in discharging its mandate and will do so without any fear or favor, affection or ill will in ensuring the ultimate best interest of the Ghanaian people is served. Let us continue, honorable members, to strengthen our channels of communication. We usually refer to them as the usual channels of communication. Foster dialogue. Encourage broader stakeholder consultation and allow the processes we have adopted for our burgeoning democracy to thrive. This is the concept on which the Parliament of the Fourth Republic has been captured by our laws. Consultation, compromises, working together. And that is why it's different from the British system, which is confrontational between government and opposition. And we moved away from using the terms even government and opposition to majority and minority caucuses. You are here on the left today, tomorrow you'll be on the right, and vice versa. We must learn to work together for the interests of our people. With this, I thank you all for your attention. Give me some water.
Come back from the break. This is Duke's View. It's been an interesting session of Parliament. I say so because this is probably the last production we're doing for the year before the year goes on to an end. Parliament has not gone on recess yet. Most likely the House would rise next week, but due to programming challenges, we may not be able to bring that to you. We'll try as much as possible to get you to understand what has transpired over the period, probably next year. But it's been an interesting Parliament this year. This whole session has been interesting from its inauguration. Don't forget that the inauguration of this Parliament happened this year, and all the issues that emanated from it. Those of us on this platform, we think that was a wrong footing for the House, and the necessary steps, the steps that should have been taken to resolve those matters, were not resolved. That's why it traveled, or it cascaded and manifested in what we saw with the budget statement and its stalemate and the chaotic scenes that characterized deliberations and debate on the floor of the House, submissions on the floor of the House. We actually indicated on this platform that when that matter transpired, or when that issue happened, the first step for the Speaker, Bagbin, then was to have constituted a committee to look into that issue and as part of the terms of reference, ensure that the framework for resolving the long-term differences among members of Parliament due to the close and the tight numbers, 137, 137, 1, that all of these issues were going to arise. We were not calling ourselves prophets, but we foresaw that with the kind of numbers and with the kind of tradition in the House where business has been done, the majority have its way, minority has the same, and the fact that this House was not going to be business as usual, there was the need for such framework to have been put in place. And the opportunity for Parliament to have gotten it right was in the aftermath of the chaotic birth of this House, when even there was an assault on the country's democracy with the invasion of the parliamentary floor by members of the military. People armed forces invaded Parliament. Nothing happened to it. In the US, currently, the January 4th assault, or the January 4th march forward, or the January 4th invasion of the Capitol building by protesters, is still under investigation. But over here, nothing happened. And for us, because there was no decisive determination on that issue, it festered on and cascaded into, or brought us to what we saw with the parliamentary budget hearings and the debates that characterized it, moving the Speaker's chair. The sheer chaos that characterized the passage or the approval or otherwise of the budget statement, since the matter is still in contention. But it's actually good. The Speaker needs to be commended for the manner in which he has, resolved the issue temporarily. Temporarily because his proposal for the finance minister to come back to the House with a revised statement is still a matter of contention, still a matter of dispute. I've had cause to engage some members of Parliament who still think that the finance minister may not necessarily have to come with a revised statement. So that's a matter of contention that needs to be resolved. And I hope that the tact, the diplomacy, the wisdom, the backroom discussions that brought us to this soft landing, where the Speaker is still insisting that what transpired, even though in law and indeed is right, he is allowing sleeping dogs to lie because the country needs to make progress. That's the platform, that's the framework within which issues in this 8th Parliament needs to be resolved. Otherwise, there are 3 more years, but 3 more budgets, 3 more State of the Nation's address, 3 more presentation of mid-year review budget statements. At every point in time, if Parliament decides, or the House or the leadership decides to use votes and counting without a necessary long-term framework of consensus to ensure that these issues are resolved, it will still be chaos. It will still be chaotic because of the partisan interests, and you can't blame them. They were sponsored here by political parties. So for us on this platform, the 20-member committee that has been formed, of course, at least since it was formed up until now, there's not been any major chaos in the Parliament. So we assume that they are doing their work. That committee should be maintained so that going forward, it will form the basis and the framework to resolve all such disputes. It's made up of senior members of parliament, very respected members of parliament. We think that committee, that framework, that group should be maintained so that from time to time they'll be consulted. They will help bring resolution to issues in parliament when the matters get to a head. And we think that if that should happen, they should do the work as they have to do it, Ghana will be the winner. The 8th parliament will be the winner. Because under no circumstance should parliament be turned into an avenue for rabble-rousing and the kind of chaos that has characterized the passage of this budget. So on that note, we know it's early, but I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. That's how we wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber and this year's edition of the Chamber. Because great work, massive work done by the production team, Hansen Ajeman, Per Lobo-B, Charles Sasu, Paul Egbenya, Albert, Bismarck, Chairman Paul, and everybody who's helped us put this beautiful production together in the course of the year to serve you the very best of Parliament. My name is Duke Mentor Poku. Keep watching City TV for the very best in programming.